2019 is when I reached a stage where for 6 months I was completely self-funded. All this passive income coming in was basically feeding into the expenses that were going up.
First, congratulations on achieving financial independence early compared to most of the Indians. So, what are you doing currently?
So currently I've just left click again. So in MBA I got recruited through campus for Mastech. After 2 years I switched to TCS, Tata
Good.
Consultancy Services, and there I spent almost 10-11 years. That's where the inflection in my career happened. Okay, and every jump from there was 30%, 50%, 60%. Okay, and with bonuses and everything counted, I think the last 3-4 years the packages ran to almost 1 crore plus on an annual basis. Okay,
So how did you get started on financial independence?
so 5,000 was my salary.
The
in
first job
Mastech,
in
yeah.
Mastech.
But 7-8 months into the job, one of the ladies in the office just picked up my bank passbook, and she saw that there's only 500 rupees in there. That's it. That was my balance, right? So I was like blowing up everything. And she gave me a big lecture. I remember the lecture was 3 hours long because that's the time it took from Seeps to get to my house. We were on a public transport bus. I still don't recall the details of that 3 hours, but I do know that after that I became pretty serious on this. Okay, so I spent some time thinking, and what I did was I looked at what is the amount that I actually need to spend. This is the money that I need. When the salary comes in, this money is kept aside. Everything else I went and put into a fixed deposit. And I was very clear that the interest that will come out of it is what I'm going to use to do this movies, friends outings, buy stuff and all that. Okay, they will not come from my salary. So the first month I got only 17 rupees, 17. For me, this money was now not from my salary but from the interest that I was getting. And 2001 is when I got married. Now I was still living this life where khali expense mere account mein tha, everything else used to go into the investments. Okay, either FDs or I had started a little bit of mutual funds at this point of time. But it was sometime in 2010 when we ran into some liquidity issue that I realized that it has to be a complete strategy. Okay, there has to be a well thought out approach on how to achieve self-funding. We never used to call it financial independence. This is how I have approached my planning. First is I have started categorizing my expenses. Not every expense is the same type. You can't put everything in one bucket. Some things I need to survive. कि आज अगर नौकरी नहीं है, I don't have any earning, this is the money that I have to pay. खाना तो खाना है, grocery खाना है, right? So these are the expenses which are what I call critical to survive. Then I looked at the ones that can be reduced. Okay. Then there are those expenses which can be delayed. Okay, like I want to now replace my car. It's okay, I can do that next year. Maybe I can do that year after next. Okay, I don't need that. And then there are obviously expenses that can be eliminated. So now I have a list of 6 categories. Each of them prioritized. So the first priority is survival, then reduction, then delayed, and then we had expenses that can be eliminated completely, and those one-time expenses. On the other dimension, I looked at the frequency in which these expenses come. So monthly, quarterly, every 6 months, annual, and then more than 1 year, but on a periodic frequency, right? So 2010 I started allocating specific investments, some fixed deposits, mutual funds, rental assets into specific expenses. The expenses for survival and the expenses that can be reduced. These are the two sets of expenses which I have tried to fund from the fixed deposits, post office, MISs, anything that can give me a stable monthly return, which included rental income in those days. I used to think rental assets were fixed, okay, but COVID gave me another thing, so I started dropping the quotient of the stability on rental income. Okay, now when you look at the other expenses that can be delayed, right, expenses that can be delayed, I can afford to be a little volatile in it. म्यूचुअल फंड चलो 6 महीने में नीचे जाएगा, बट इवेंचुअली उसको ऊपर जाना ही है, राइट? इक्विटी मार्केट सेम स्टोरी. आई थिंक समबडी सेज लाइक इंसान हो या इक्विटी हो, दोनों को ऊपर जाना है, राइट? सो दैट्स द थिंग. बट कब जाएगा पता नहीं. And then came those one-time expenses like kids' education, the house maintenance, which is now popping up, right? These were obviously, I took it, you can't fund them, so I took the chunk of salary, kept it aside. Okay, कि अगर ये होता है ना तो चलो ये हो गया. These were all around, right? Something, some fixed deposit, something. मैंने क्या किया, एक particular HDFC का account, I redirected all my investment income, interest हो या dividend हो या जो भी हो, they all come into that one account. And I gave my wife the ATM of that account and I started tracking this account. इसका बैलेंस ट्रैक करना था, जब भी ये बैलेंस कम होता था मैं टॉप अप मारता था. 2019 was when a period came where 6 महीना हो गया और मैंने एक I did not top up even a single rupee in that account. Okay, and that is when I say I considered myself कि now I am a self-funded or I am financially independent.
How much passive income do you have from real estate?
So real estate I started incidentally or accidentally, whichever way you look at it. So when I had 2 flats, I moved to this new house. The flats were lying idle. The broker said, why don't you give it off for rent? But the beauty part was that 10% escalation was the exciting factor, right? And I suddenly realized that can be an income that can come and which can grow faster than inflation. So today I have a total of about 40,000 that I get from all my rental assets.
For how many properties?
5 properties right now.
And what will be the market value of these properties?
The 2 flats will probably, the value would be around 50-60 lakhs. I bought it for 8. Today I can dispose them off for about 60. This shop would probably be around 50. I bought it at 20, 25 or something. Okay. The one next to the market, I got it for 18. Probably it might be double now, 30. Okay, and that one is about 20. That one didn't appreciate the last one that I bought. It's pretty new also. Okay, so we're talking about 60 and 60. That's 120, and then
30 and
150 and 20, 170.
170. And you get about, if I say 40,000, 5 lakh rupees a rent yearly.
Yeah.
Right. So that is 3% yield, right? So if you like, and I genuinely have this question, and when people say passive income real estate, is like if I compare it with mutual funds give about 12% return, right? And plus it is tax wise beneficial, right? If you put that 1.7 crore in a mutual fund, that you will kind
I'll
of
get much more.
You will get 12%, so which is about 20 lakhs, four times.
There are better ways, there are better returns. There's always a better everything that can happen, right? So to me, this is like a diversification. So rental assets, yes. If you look at the market value, I could probably earn some more, better return some other place. But to me, it's like this. When I was funding for my daughter's education, I know there's going to be a big thing coming up. Okay, I said, okay, here is this asset which I have now tagged to your education. Should you need that money, then I dispose this and pay off, right? So I'm not looking at disposing it today, use that money to get a better return some other place. Right? Even if you look at where I am today, right, most of my expenses are critical to live, right, survive as well as the reduction expenses, right. These are being funded by fixed income instruments which give lower returns.
So on Windwell also now we have bank FDs, small finance bank FDs, which give about 9.5% return.
That's actually a great thing because if I look at my corpus also, today almost 40% is this. A lot of financial planners have come to me and said, oh, you know what, if you can move it there, you can get 20%, 25%. आप portfolio management में डालो, ये करो वो करो. मतलब नहीं भाई. If you look at the full picture, don't just look at it one dimension, look at the full picture. There is something that I want which cannot change, I cannot compromise, and this has to be funded by something that is not exposed to too much risk. मेरा comparison inflation के साथ है. जब तक मेरे को पूरा कॉर्पस पे इन्फ्लेशन से ज़्यादा मिल रहा है, आई एम ओके. एंड इन्फ्लेशन, like somebody said in one of the interviews on your channel, inflation should be looked at inflation of your consumption. Okay, मेरा जो खर्चा हो रहा है, how is it that increasing? I don't care what the government is doing. Okay, see, the government plays for the masses. I am not the mass. I like to think I'm above the average
Yeah,
mass,
yeah. No,
right?
you are
Okay.
definitely.
हाँ. So what I consume has a different rate of inflation, and that is what I look at. जब तक उससे ऊपर है ना, I'm okay.
What are your current living expenses monthly?
So I can tell you precisely, it's about 1.2 lakhs per month. So FDs fund 60K a month. Okay. Real estate is giving me 40K. And like I said, I have stopped the accumulation phase of mutual fund. And what I do is I withdraw about 3.5% annual basis pay. So I'm pulling approximately 20K out. So
Got
that's
it.
60, 40, 20, that's 1.2. What I've also realized is with my stock portfolio now increasing, the dividends have started flowing in. So I've got another 15, 20K of dividend per month.
Got
तो
it.
दिस इज माय बफर. ओके, किसी दिन 1.2 का थोड़ा ज़्यादा खर्च हो गया तो वो
हाँ,
बफर
होता ही
है.
है, थोड़ा
ओके,
बहुत.
अभी जैसे क्रिसमस आ रहा है. नाउ द नेगोशिएशंस एट होम हैज स्टार्टेड.
ये
आई एम
लेना है,
आई
वो
एम
लेना है.
वेटिंग फॉर दैट म्यूटिनी टू कम. ओके, हमारी मांगे पूरी करो वाला म्यूटिनी, वो इट्स एन एनुअल इवेंट फॉर मी. ओके, सो इट विल हैपन. ठीक है, आई मीन लेट्स एट द सेम टाइम वी नीड टू एंजॉय लाइफ आल्सो, राइट?
Yes.
सो
If I look at your corpus, how much is in fixed deposit? How much is in real estate?
about 35% is fixed deposits. A decent chunk, about 18%, is in provident fund. Maybe about 15% is in mutual fund. Not a big thing because I started late. Now I think about 25% is in stocks. Whatever is the gap in between, some REITs, some other इधर उधर छोटा मोटा पड़ा हुआ है, right?
And what about real estate?
I don't count them as my investment
Oh.
kind of thing. So that whatever we calculated earlier, 1.5, 1.7 is a separate. It's counted in my net worth. It's not counted as my corpus. Let's put it that way. For the house purchases that I did, I had to empty my bank balance. Okay. Today I am aware of REIT. अगर मेरा objective सिर्फ rental income कमाना है, okay, without bothering about market value and all this stuff, then I would rather do REITs.
Right. What advice would you have for someone in, let's say, their mid 20s or early 30s who are starting their journey of financial independence?
Okay, what I would tell them is start. Don't wait. Start small. If you think you cannot save anything, start with 0.5%. I will also tell them one thing. This is, if you look at most of the advice given to youngsters, they say, you are young, you can now dabble in stocks. If you lose, you have time to earn. I will give a different advice. I'll say, this is a time when you need to stabilize your finances. Everybody says high risk, high reward. I ask people, what is the corollary of this? The actual statement that you should look at is low reward is low risk. तो अगर तुम्हारा requirement low है, you can play with low risk. So you don't need to go for high risk, options trading करना है, stock में करना है, ये करना है. Reward का expectation low रखो, low risk खेलो. There are other things that you can play around when you are young, right? There has been statements told to me that money is not important, right? But I read a statement somewhere, I forgot whose it was, but he said, money is not important. That's true, but make sure you have lot of it before you actually make that statement. Okay, तो मैं बोला यार ये तो है, मतलब ठीक है. I don't mind compromising some things now. I don't mind if some people get angry with me. I don't meet their requirement of one thing. Because I want to have that corpus where eventually it will not matter. Today, I don't track money.